Welcome back. We are live. So, because you're all kind of, 9 o'clock, I would like to say good morning to you, and I would like a resounding schools assembly-esque good morning back. So, good morning, Global Innovation Forum.
Good morning.
Might as well all go back to bed. Good morning, Global Innovation Forum.
Good morning.
Okay, you're getting better. You're warming up. Look, Max and Martina and Selectiva have done such a wonderful job over the last 3 years to bring us the Global Innovation Forum in an online format. And they've really captured, I think, some of the spirit, some of the energy, some of the magic that makes GIF so special. But it is so nice to be back live. It really is. And this is what it's all about, right? It's so much easier to meet people, to feel inspired, all those wonderful things. So nothing beats being back together in person. But what a lot has changed in 3 years. So, you know, when we were doing this back in November 2019, Corona was a beer that you could enjoy. It wasn't a virus. This man was riding high in the polls, I think on for a second term. This man was just about to win a landslide election. Bitcoin was worth, anyone know November? Who are our kind of crypto investors? Anyone know? November 2019. Hazard a guess. Say that louder. 65,000? 28? Down? I tell you what, you'd be in the money if you'd invested in November. It was $6,000. It went up to nearly 70,000. It's now back at about, 17,000 today. So you'd have still doubled your money if actually you can actually buy anything with Bitcoin. And as Max has mentioned, we have a new addition to the Selectiva family. So lovely to see. But whilst we all focus on what's changing all the time, a lot hasn't changed. You know, conferences, cinema, airline travel was probably all dead. Just shows how bad we are at predicting. We still want to be here in person. And unfortunately, for those of you who've been here before, I'm still chair. So that hasn't changed. 8 years of doing it live. I think maybe now it's about 11 years of doing this. Maybe not quite that. My maths is poor. And just to introduce myself, I am CEO of a company called Brand Genetics. And we are a global brand growth consultancy. We help lots of these wonderful clients and many more to uncover new growth opportunities through understanding what makes people tick and brands grow. And that, you'll be pleased to know, unless you want to come and ask me about it, is the last I will say about us. So, if you want to ask me where it all went wrong, yeah, it went wrong here. Somebody had the bright idea of asking the British public to name collectively the new research vessel for Polar. Now, this was going to replace the existing Polar fleet, which was the sensibly named RRS James Clark Ross and the RRS Ernest Shackleton. Sensible, heavy-hitting names. Now, anyone can propose any name. The only thing you couldn't do was use the same name as the Ernest Shackleton or beyond. So, there were no restrictions. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the British public voted for. Boaty McBoatface came out as number 1. Followed by David Attenborough was number 4, which is what they actually called it. They were always going to call it David Attenborough. I mean, Usain Bolt. I like big boats and I cannot lie. Now, it didn't take long for the British public to get this, and it wasn't long after that we voted for Brexit, and then for Boris, and I can't really lay COVID at our great public's door, but nonetheless, I'm just saying, you know, it is problematic. So, now you got to listen to me drone on for a little bit, but we have got such a great 2 days set up for you. And we have got brilliant speakers from companies and organizations from across that sort of innovation spectrum. We've got Tesla, we've got CERN, we've got Mars, we've got NATO, we've got our brilliant teen tech innovators tomorrow, we've got Lego, we've got Unilever, we've got Tesla, we've got Danone, the list goes on, many more I have not mentioned. We've got workshops as well, we've got roundtables, the fantastic expo, we've got some drinks this evening, we've got wellness classes, and not to mention the live illustration, which is one of always the highlights of Chris and the team over here, who will be doing their best to capture in visual form all the nuggets of wisdom that come out of our talks. all that packed into 24 hours. And look, as you just discovered then, what makes GIF is, yes, the speakers, but also you guys, yeah? You're from across the innovation multiverse. So many different disciplines, so many different companies, consultancies, different perspectives. Really do get out there, and this is where I genuinely think, you know, the more you put in, the more you will get out of the next 2 days. Right, I have another challenge, which, you know, on the basis of the last one is going to be a real disaster. We are just a few days away from, slightly controversially, the Qatar FIFA World Cup. And I'm going to ask you, in the spirit of this, to complete a challenge. You should have found on your chair a highly technical, we spent weeks designing these, A3, no, what's it, A5, A4, whatever, 6 bit of paper. Can you write on it your name? And can you write on it your motivation for coming to the Global Innovation Forum? Keep it short and sweet, but why are you here? What do you want to get out of it? Now, I'm going to read some of these out, potentially, so if you're sitting next to your boss, don't put networking for a new job, just in case, okay? But just, you know, scribble something down. It doesn't have to be profound, but just what you want to get out of it. And then, and this is where the fun comes in the spirit of football, I've nicked my 10-year-old son's goal. Once you've written that down, I want you to scrunch it up. Have I got Ben and Georgia to police? Oh, sorry, if anyone needs, scrunch it up. And for a bottle of champagne, you know, not quite the Jules Rimet, we're going to have people come down the middle. Georgia, would you mind? I think maybe this gentleman's, Badal's bag is a good target zone. Okay. Scrunch it up and see if you can get it in the goal past my goalkeeper here. Yeah, however you want. Nearly. Oh, wrong. Oh, we've got a few. That's good. Nearly, so close. You have another go? Oh. Right. Originally, I was going to get you to throw it at me, actually, and see which ones I caught, and then my son reminded me I can't catch. So, last one. Go on, Nicola. Oh, she got it in. Bounced it. Oh, excuse me, sir. Sorry about that. A header, exactly. Nearly in there. Right. Very good, very good. Okay, so the moment of truth. I'm going to pick from here. The first one, the winner of our champagne. I'll just read it out. Oh, this tightly scrunched. To learn by sharing. Brilliant. Except you didn't put your name on it, so you are automatically disqualified. Follow instructions. But it's lovely to learn by sharing, okay? So we'll talk a bit about that. Oh, here we go. We have a name. So Fabian Rec from Itonics. Grasp some thought leadership and keep myself updated on current developments in the innovation field. I'm going to read maybe one more out. So Fabian, where's Fabian? Come on down. Grab a champagne bottle. Well done. Thanks, Toto. Yeah, there you go. Well done. Nice way to start the morning. Sarah Komisaru here. Inspirational talks and ideas from excellent innovators. Well, look. I think we can meet all of these, I hope. Well done. Sorry, that's sort of like the second place, silver medal. Look, what I wanted to say was we're here to talk about dreaming bigger, right? And the reason I talk about goals and motivations is not entirely just as a gag for some football-related fun, but it's because I truly believe motivations can help us raise the bar on actually how we turn those dreams into a reality. And last year, I spoke about jobs to be done theory for anyone who saw it online, who actually tuned in to me. You know, I'm not sure how many of you, I'm sure most of you have heard of this theory, but effectively, as a recap, jobs to be done theory explains that certain customers pull certain products and services into their lives to resolve highly important, unsatisfied jobs that arise. Now, it was popularized by this gentleman, Clay Christensen of Harvard, now sadly passed away. But ultimately, for Christensen, the most important question to understand for innovation is why, right?
If a company doesn't understand why I might choose to hire its product in certain circumstances and why I might choose something else in others, its data about me or people like me is unlikely to help it create any new innovation for me. Now, when it comes to understanding why someone might choose your product, there is a distinction I like to draw between what I call the little why and the big why. Now, what do I mean by these? Well, the little why is the category level reason that you choose a product. It's what psychologists would call the focal goal. This is the explicit job people are striving to get done, and what I would refer to as the zoom-in insight. So it's whether you're choosing a Budweiser over a Heineken, right? Or it's TikTok over Instagram, or it's maybe choosing a Mars bar over a Cadbury's Dairy Milk for our Mars people in the audience. But, you know, the trouble is that it's focused on a sort of choice with a competitor. And this is where most companies end up focusing. Because let's face it, a lot of companies are much more obsessed with the competition than they are with the end consumer. And of course it's important. You need to be aware of how you line up against the key competition. However, if that's the only place you look, it ends up being a copycat. If you are truly going to dream bigger, you need to broaden your horizons and think beyond the competition. Now, jobs theory can help you frame competition in a way that allows for real differentiation and long-term competitive advantage. But if you only if you look to understand the big why, not just the little why. The big why is the human motivation, the big picture reason that drove that person to make that decision in the first place. It's what psychologists would refer to as the superordinate goal, a higher order goal that motivates us as humans rather than merely as consumers. Now this is, as I say, the zoom out insight that focuses not just on the point of purchase or decision, but what brought them to that point in the first place. So if I go back to my chocolate bar analogy, right, instead of asking why I bought that Dairy Milk or that Mars bar, I'm actually thinking about why I'm buying a chocolate bar in the first place. Is it because I wanted a little reward for something I'd achieved, like, you know, given a talk? In which case I might have a beer, maybe. Or, you know, if I was a little bit more feminine, maybe I'd choose lipstick, or maybe even something like a massage. They're all little rewards, potentially. Or maybe it's because I've had a long day and I need a pick-me-up. You know, in which case maybe I have a Red Bull or coffee or a pastry, or even might get out and do some exercise. And what I hope this shows is when you start to consider and understand the big why, you redefine the competition. And you start to see bigger opportunities that stretch you beyond the narrow confines of category thinking. So this is where human motivations come to the fore. The motives are our underlying goals, and they guide our behavior. They energize our behavior, and they are an answer to the critical question of why we change our behavior. In essence, they're the human jobs to be done. And unlike attitudes, opinions, beliefs, they are good at explaining and predicting and influencing behavior and behavior change. Now, people are motivated by a lot of things, including negatives, right? Fear, etc., etc. But we're dreaming bigger, and we're going to dream better as well. So we want to focus on the positive. This gentleman is Abraham Maslow, famous for Maslow's pyramid, though he never actually put anything in a pyramid. That was a management, if you want a fact, that was a management consultant called Charles McDermott who did it in a business article in 1960. There you go. You can own that. The article was How Money Motivates Men. Anyway, everyone thinks he put it in a pyramid. He didn't. But it was fundamentally unscientific. He simply talked to some super happy people. So let's bin our pyramids and instead replace them with this, the motivational matrix. These are 9 science-backed, evidence-based and expert-endorsed positive motivations proven to energize people's behavior and promote human well-being. Now, you lucky people have these in your bag. If you want to pull them out, yes, I can see people's cameras going. And all the presentations, or most of them, I certainly will be available on. You might want to pull this out and peruse it. So that's that. It distills a wide range of research into core psychological motivations. It accounts for virtually all of the motives proposed by major motivational theorists of the last century, and to our mind, provides the best combination of clarity and comprehensiveness. And these have been validated globally and are enduring across time and context and culture. Now, I'm not going to go into all of this in detail. If you want to know more, ping me in a break, not least because Max is waving 5 at me, which is 5 out of 10 for the talk so far. But I do want to show you how being clear on a human motivation as a brand or a business can unleash huge value. So we're dreaming bigger, and I want to just show you 2 of the biggest companies, 2 of the most maybe innovative businesses, and how they have used human motivation to guide their creation of value. It's not an innovation conference without Apple coming up, right? But just think about how they have leaned into this idea of empowerment, which is our desire to be equal to the task, capable and free to act. So for Apple, it's all been at the heart of this brand since the famous 1984 advert, right? So they've always been, despite now one of the world's biggest companies, something about kind of this brand as think different, the brand of creators and disruptors. But I would argue the iPhone is perhaps the ultimate empowerment device, a world of possibilities suddenly in our pocket. It is a remote control for life. You can work from it, you can play, you can interact, you can take photos of your kids, you can figure out where you are, you can order anything, a meal, a taxi, a date if you want, right? It's empowerment on steroids. Conversely, think about how anxious we all become if we misplace our phone. We are depowered. So recently, they've also been focusing on privacy, which, you know, if you think about privacy, it's an analogy for freedom, for autonomy. And how can you feel empowered when Big Brother's always watching you? Now, all these innovations and many more serve to empower the Apple consumer, and it's proved to be a winning strategy. Now, another company, Tesla, that's doing, you know, maybe not as well as it was, but certainly incredibly valuable. This leans into our motivation for esteem. This is about having standing within our social network, resulting in respect and admiration. And in some ways, it's about status symbols. And today, one of the ultimate status symbols is probably driving a Tesla, because not only is it expensive and lovely, but it also allows you to polish your halo because you're doing something good for the environment, right? Now, Tesla has a brand like no other. In May, their market cap was larger than the combination of Toyota, Volkswagen, Daimler, BMW, General Motors, Ford, Honda, Ferrari, Nissan, Subaru, Volvo, and Mazda, all of those combined. So how do they appeal to esteem? Well, first of all, do you remember when every celebrity in Hollywood drove a Prius? I mean, they also had probably a Ferrari, but they drove a Prius because they wanted. Now, Tesla basically said, let's put, you know, electric and performance together. So the Model S Plaid does 0 to 60 in 2 seconds and can go over 200 miles an hour. It's the fastest performance car there is, right? At the same time, they've become a byword for sustainability. Their mission to accelerate the transition of the world's transition to sustainable energy. Again, these elements speak to the desire to demonstrate responsibility and moral authority, key factors to being held in esteem. And it's also a luxury brand, right? They take care that demand doesn't exceed supply. They make sure they never discount. You can only get them through Tesla's carefully curated showrooms. Their kind of launches are almost fashion shows watched by millions. Together, these factors mean that the people who drive a Tesla are held in esteem by others. And this is no accident. This is carefully curated. Now, and Max, I am coming to an end. Think of the innovations that might have been a good idea, but haven't yet, at any rate, taken off, and I will show you a question of motivation. Why would I want to do that? Now, I mean, maybe we'll start with the ridiculous. Who, in their right mind, wanted a Bic for her pen? Ladies, you know, gentlemen, anyone, you know. So maybe Bic for pen, I've set a low bar. What's my motivation to really have this? But remember this, sort of Google Glass. Maybe it was a great idea, but did I really want to wander around looking like a glass hole as the moniker became tamed? And more lately, I mean, I'm still very unsure about the metaverse. I know we're going to have a wonderful talk later on, and maybe that will convince me, but I'm not convinced in what is in it for the human being at the end of it. You know, it took them $27 billion to create legs, as far as I can see. So, and the less said about truth social media, perhaps the better. Now, these might be great ideas, but none of them really enable our human goals. None of them, to me at least, seem to address a real human motivation. So I'd love you to take from this 3 things. First of all, motivations matter. They drive our behavior. These energize what we do. Okay, so number 1, they matter. Second of all, understanding the bigger, the zoom out motivation is a real opportunity to unlock fresh space for innovation, to really dream bigger and broaden your horizons. And thirdly, using human innovation as a North Star for innovation can really guide you from conception through to market success. It gives you a real human-based focal point that crosses culture, that crosses time, that crosses context. So when you think about motivation from now on, I don't want you to think of something like this poster. Okay? This shouldn't be the kind of thing that comes to mind, though this one did make me laugh. When I was Googling motivation, these things tend to come up. So hopefully you haven't felt motivated by the last one. But instead, I would urge you to use the motivational matrix. Pin it above your desk. This will help you understand the big why behind your target audience's job to be done. And use that motivation then through the whole development process. Motivation is the human job to be done and the key to behavior change. And by aligning these macro motives, which, as you will recall, are linked to human happiness and well-being, you can also have a genuinely positive impact on the people you serve, not to mention yourselves and your stakeholders as well. So if we get the motivation right and we can change dreams into reality, then not only can we dream bigger, but we can also dream better. Thank you. So thank you for listening patiently to me. I'm a mere warm-up act for Ravi Arora from Tata. Ravi is Vice President of Group Innovation for Tata & Sons, so it's brilliant to have him here to do the keynote speech. He works with Tata companies to enhance their effectiveness and of their innovation programs, and has conceptualized the Tata Group level programs like Tata Innovista, Tata Innoverse, Tata Ideas, Tata Innometer, and Challenges Worth Solving. He's also the author of 2 books, Making Innovations Happen and Igniting Innovation the Tata Way.